It's not just another day. It's a day where we need to be more alert, more informed, and ready than ever. I'm here to delve into what's happening around us, things that will not just surprise you but might also shake the very foundation of what you thought you knew. Look around us. From coast to coast, there are events unfolding that demand our attention and action. Today, we're going to uncover some news that might shock you, but it's crucial that we face these realities head-on. Are you ready to challenge what you know? Are you prepared to adapt to what's coming? Let's dive right into the heart of a looming crisis that's been signaled by none other than J.P. Morgan. Think about it. When a financial giant like J.P. Morgan sounds the alarm, predicting economic chaos, it's time to sit up and take notice. They're not just talking about a minor hiccup in the economy. We're looking at a situation that could be far worse than the high inflation and subsequent recessions of the 1970s. Remember those times? The Consumer Price Index data from back then paints a stark picture of massive inflation surges and economic downturns. It's a chilling reminder that history can repeat itself. And this time, the impact could be even more severe. We're potentially looking at a recession, and not just any recession, it could be a major one. The Federal Reserve strategies, the inverted yield curve, these are indicators that can't be ignored. And then there's the energy market. Current trends in oil and gasoline inventories are telling us a story. Consumer demand is dropping. This isn't just about numbers on a chart. It's about real people making real decisions about their spending. And when spending goes down, the economy feels it. So where does all this leave us? We're standing at a crossroads, facing economic challenges that could reshape our lives. But within these challenges lie opportunities for those who are prepared. As always, I urge you to do your own research before making any investment decisions. Wealthy. Think about it. If you're in debt, you're part of this narrative. The big question is, can you turn the tide in your favor? What's going to happen in the next 24 months is critical. We're looking at tens of millions of Americans potentially skyrocketing from the middle class to the top, making fortunes in the process. But on the flip side, about 150 million could be pushed downwards. Where do you see yourself in this scenario? Are you in the right career to take advantage of this wealth transfer? With everything that's happening, is your current career future-proof? Executives are sounding the alarm bells, predicting that nearly half of the skills we see in the workforce today will be obsolete by 2025, thanks to AI and technological advancements. This is huge. It's not just about young workers, it's about everyone, including those over 50 who hold a significant portion of America's wealth, especially in real estate. How will this affect their assets? And more importantly, how will it affect yours? Are you prepared for this shift? Are you ready to adapt and thrive in a rapidly changing job market? The real estate market is on the brink of a major transformation. Many older Americans who own a large portion of single-family homes might find themselves in a tough spot, needing to sell due to economic pressures and changes in the job market. At the same time, AI is reshaping the job landscape in ways we've never seen before. If your role can be enhanced by AI, you might see your salary increase. But if your job can be replaced by AI, what's your plan? Wages in these roles could decrease, and the demand for such jobs might plummet. Are you ready for that? What's your strategy to stay ahead in this AI-driven world? The job market is not just changing, it's being turned on its head. Major tech companies are leading the charge with massive layoffs. We're talking about giants like Google, Amazon, and Meta reducing their workforce significantly. In 2023, layoffs increased by a staggering 198% compared to the previous year. And 2024? It's shaping up to be even more challenging. Jobs in product management, quality assurance, marketing, finance, and real estate are particularly vulnerable. How secure is your job in this landscape? Are you prepared for the possibility of a layoff? What's your backup plan? But here's where it gets really interesting. As full-time jobs become more uncertain, even side hustles are under threat due to potential new regulations. This economic environment is forcing people to rethink their lifestyles. We're likely to see a trend where people downsize their living standards, opting for cheaper housing and reducing expenses. However, this also opens up opportunities for wealth creation. The market will be flooded with assets for sale, and for those who can adapt and seize these opportunities, the potential for growth is enormous. This is a pivotal time for securing your financial future during this great wealth transfer. How will you navigate these changes? Are you ready to seize the opportunities that come your way? How are you preparing for these monumental shifts in our economy? Are you ready to adapt, to change, and possibly to thrive in these challenging times? The next 2 years be the most important period for building wealth in American history. 4. Winter Storm. Jerry intensifies. As Winter Storm Jerry intensifies, it's time for all of us in the U.S. to sit up and take notice. Think back to a couple of years ago, We had a similar situation where people tragically lost their lives due to freezing temperatures. We've just gotten over a recent snowstorm, and while it wasn't as bad as the media made it out to be, it's a stark reminder of what winter can bring. Depending on where you are, snowfall can range from 6 to 18 inches. And while some areas are getting rain without ice, which is a relief, remember that snow and cold are winter staples. But not everyone is prepared or used to it. In places like Minneapolis, winter is a time for fun ice fishing, snowmobiling, but move 600 to 800 miles south, and the reaction is completely different. People are often caught off guard, wondering what to do. In Washington and Oregon, they haven't seen anything like this since 2012. That's a 12-year gap. So consider this. Anyone under the age of 28 there is experiencing these conditions for the first time. When you're out on the roads, think about that. Defensive driving is key. We all know it's not about our driving skills, but watching out for others who might make a mistake. And with the cold really starting to hit places like the Dakotas, Nebraska, and Kansas, the rest of us need to brace ourselves. It's coming our way. Remember a couple of years back when dozens of people died from the cold because they weren't ready for it? Temperatures in Texas are expected to barely hit 20 degrees in the coming days. Think about that. And driving on ice? I've lived in Texas and remember driving in an ice storm. It's not something you forget. Last time, the energy provider ERCOT failed massively. They're claiming they're ready this time, but are they? They're expecting a peak load capacity that's way beyond anything Texas has seen in January. And with the big push towards renewable energy, consider this. If we rely solely on renewables, what happens when they can only supply a quarter of the needed energy? It's a scenario that could leave many without power. In the Southeast, particularly in states like Tennessee, they are expecting temperatures between 10 and 13 degrees with lows around 0. We're not accustomed to that here. Even a little bit of moisture can bring everything to a standstill because we lack the infrastructure for ice and snow that the northern states have. This situation could lead to potential isolation. So ask yourself, are you prepared to stay home for a week or more? Have you checked your home's insulation and heating sources? What about your car? Is it equipped to handle such extreme cold? These are critical questions to consider at this moment. Have you detached hoses from outdoor spigots to prevent your pipes from bursting? Are you letting water trickle to keep pipes from freezing? What about your car? Have you thought about how to keep it from freezing over? Simple things like a blanket over the battery or parking in a sheltered area can make a big difference. And don't forget about your winter gear. Do you know where your gloves, scarves, and hats are? In the South, we might not use them often, but now is the time to find them. Remember, while some of us are ready for winter, many are not, and their unpreparedness can lead to problems for everyone. This is a time to be vigilant, not just for ourselves, but for those around us who might not be as prepared. Stay safe and stay warm. 5. More food shortages happening all over the country. Let's start with what's happening in the dairy aisle. There's a noticeable butter shortage being reported in multiple areas. It's not just one brand or one store. It seems to be happening everywhere. And then there's the egg crisis, which is getting even worse. Remember how we talked about the culling of chickens earlier in January? Well, it turns out 1.5 million egg-laying chickens were culled in California alone, adding to the millions already culled in the previous months. This is a big deal because it means we're going to see this egg shortage continue and probably get worse. Prices are likely to keep soaring and availability will keep dwindling. Have you noticed the price of eggs at your local store? It's shocking, isn't it? But it's not just eggs and butter. Over in Lima, Ohio, at a real Aldi store, the shelves are almost empty of fresh fruit and veggies. In Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, it's happening the same thing. It's like the produce section is just a sea of red, out-of-stock signs. And it's not just a local issue. Reports are coming in from all over. In Western Washington, for instance, Walmart had an unexpected opportunity with Jenny O turkeys selling for just 50 cents a pound. Why? Because their holiday shipments arrived late. It's a small silver lining, but it shows how these supply chain issues can sometimes work in our favor. If you're lucky enough to find these deals, it's a great chance to stock up. You can freeze that meat or even can it. Have you seen any unexpected deals in your area? Now, let's talk about what's happening in stores across the country. A dear viewer from Rhode Island reported that most stores are very sparse. And it's not just food stores. She's been to 5 different CVS's and Walgreens looking for press-on nails, and they're almost gone everywhere. It's a small item, but it's indicative of a larger problem. These supply chain issues are real, and they're affecting products we always took for granted. Lewis from New Orleans, Louisiana mentioned that he hasn't seen great value unsalted butter in months, and it's the same with Land O'Lakes. It's not just in Louisiana either. Reports are coming in from Western Maryland about Walmart's butter almost being gone. And it's not just butter. Sugar, hot chocolate, even bacon shelves are empty. Have you noticed similar shortages in your area? But it's not all doom and gloom. There are still opportunities out there. Like the turkey deal in Washington, you might find some great bargains if your store received shipments late. It's worth checking out, especially if you have the means to store or preserve these foods. And remember, these shortages aren't just about inconvenience. They're a reminder of how fragile our supply chain is. It's a wake-up call to all of us to be a bit more prepared, to think ahead about what we might need in the coming weeks or months. How can you be ready and prepared? It's important to stay informed and share information with each other, just as you have been doing. If you see a shortage or a great deal, let your community know. And think about what you can do to prepare. Maybe it's stocking up on essentials when you can, or learning how to preserve food. Maybe it's growing a little garden or joining a local food co-op. Whatever it is, now is the time to start thinking about it. We're all in this together, and by staying informed and prepared, we can navigate these challenging times. 6. Just a few days into 2024, so much has already happened, and much more is set to happen soon. We're stepping into a landscape brimming with both opportunities and challenges, particularly in the realm of asset acquisition. This year, an unprecedented number of Americans will find themselves in a position where they must sell their assets, often at prices much lower than they would prefer. This situation creates a unique window for those looking to buy, but it's not without its risks. The economy is riddled with pitfalls that are often cleverly disguised as safeguards. It's essential to tread carefully, especially when it comes to financial protections that might seem beneficial, but could actually limit your ability to secure funding. If you find yourself in a tough financial spot, navigating these waters could become even more challenging, making it difficult to purchase tangible assets. Now let's delve into the state of American savings and consumer challenges. Remember the time when people had an extra $2.1 trillion in savings back in August 2021? Fast forward to now, and it's a starkly different picture, with savings plummeting to less than $50 billion. This drastic decrease is a clear indicator of the financial strain many are under. Consider this: only half of Americans are confident they can pay their December credit card bills. What happens when these bills go unpaid? Credit scores take a hit, sometimes dropping by up to 180 points. And this negative mark can linger on credit reports for up to 7 years. This scenario not only affects immediate financial health, but also long-term prospects like securing good financing for a house or rental property. The credit market is tightening, and this has far-reaching implications. The Consumer Financial Protection Bureau and the White House are working on a plan to significantly cut late fees for credit card companies, which will undoubtedly impact their lending practices. If you were a credit card company facing a 75% reduction in late fees, what would you do? The likely answer is to lend less and be more selective about who you lend to. This is not just a theory, it's already happening. Large banks are hiding the weakness of smaller banks, where delinquency rates on credit cards are as high as 7.5%. And with the new Basel Endgame proposal, which could see a 19% increase in capital requirements for large international banks, lending is expected to become even more stringent. This tightening of credit will have a ripple effect across the economy, potentially driving risky financial activities into unregulated shadow banks. But the financial challenges don't stop there. They extend into other areas like student loans and employment. With student loan borrowers facing less severe penalties for missed payments, the real danger lies in the impact on credit reports. A single late payment can cause a significant drop in credit scores, affecting one's ability to invest, buy a home, or advance financially. And let's not forget the employment landscape. With AI technology advancing rapidly, significant layoffs are on the horizon. Google is reportedly preparing to lay off 30,000 employees in its ad sales unit due to AI advancements. IBM has already laid off 7,500 workers last year for the same reason. As layoffs increase, millions of Americans will struggle to pay their bills, leading to a cascade of financial difficulties. The real estate market is another area where we're seeing intriguing trends. Despite a slight drop in interest rates, home sales remain at a 22-year low. This stagnation suggests that buyers are either unable or unwilling to purchase at current prices, anticipating better opportunities in the future. Many homeowners are saddled with debt, and as credit scores continue to be impacted, obtaining second mortgages or lines of credit will become increasingly difficult. This could push many to sell off assets, creating a buyer's market. We're walking into a scenario that we're unlikely to see again, where AI plays a massive role in reshaping the economic landscape. If you have big goals or plans, now is the time to act. Start preparing today to put yourself in the best position to acquire assets and build wealth. The year 2024 is shaping up to be a pivotal one, and the actions you take now could significantly impact your financial future. 7. Central bank digital currencies for Europe. The US will follow. The move towards digital currencies is no longer a matter of if, but when. and it's crucial we understand what this shift means for us. The European Union has made significant strides in this arena. Remember when Christine Lagarde of the European Central Bank announced the digital euro? It was a clear signal that the future of currency is digital. The EU isn't just planning to introduce a digital euro, they're integrating it with a digital ID wallet. Think about it, a single digital wallet holding your identity and your currency. This is a big deal because it represents a fundamental change in how we interact with money. But what does this mean for you as a consumer? Well, Lagarde emphasized the choice between cash and digital, but the underlying message is clear. Digital is the future, and it's coming fast. Before we see CBDCs in action, customer assets in banks will need to be tokenized. What does this mean? Essentially, your assets, like the money in your bank account, will be converted into digital tokens. Major banks are already on this path. Remember the digital token banking services launched by Citibank and JP Morgan Chase? This is happening now. The Bank of International Settlements, BIS, the central bank of central banks, is laying the groundwork for this new digital infrastructure. Their mission? To support central banks in maintaining monetary and financial stability. But here's a question. How familiar are you with the BIS and its influential role in international banking? Understanding tokenization is key to grasping the future of our financial system. A token is a digital representation of an asset, controlled by specific rules set by its issuer. This means that how and where you can spend your money could be restricted. Every transaction, every movement of this tokenized asset is recorded on a blockchain managed by a financial institution. This raises serious questions about privacy and control. How comfortable are you with the idea that every financial move you make could be tracked and recorded? The ultimate goal here is the creation of a unified ledger, a comprehensive financial infrastructure that records every detail of your financial life. This is not just about digital currencies. It's about how your income, assets, and transactions are recorded and potentially scrutinized. Privacy, a value we hold dear, seems to be on the brink of a major transformation. 8. FedEx founder claims December jobs report inflated. To the citizens of the United States, the gravity of our current economic situation cannot be overstated. As we continue to grapple with the challenges of the Biden administration's economic policies, our nation faces a pivotal moment. The U.S. national debt has skyrocketed to an unprecedented $34 trillion, burdening future generations and jeopardizing our economic stability. This alarming figure, which has seen an increase of $1 trillion in just the last 90 days, is a clear indicator of the perilous path we are treading. Fred Smith, the founder of FedEx and a decorated Marine, brings to light the severity of this issue. In a recent discussion, he highlighted the unsustainable nature of our fiscal deficit, running at about 6 to 7% per year, a figure alarmingly double what we spend on national defense. The implications of this are profound, as we find ourselves in a situation where the interest payments on our debt are surpassing our expenditures on national security. Moreover, the job market, seemingly buoyant with the addition of 200,000 jobs in December, masks an underlying issue. The majority of these jobs have been in government, education, healthcare, and the hospitality sector, which do not significantly enhance the productivity or technological advancement of our nation. This skewed growth is a red flag, indicating that we are not adequately preparing for the future. The threat extends beyond our borders. Smith points out the concerted efforts by a coalition of nations, led by Russia and including China, to dethrone the US dollar as the world's reserve currency. This move, if successful, would strip the United States of a significant aspect of its global economic power. The creation of an alternative currency settlement system by these nations is not just a challenge to our financial dominance, but a direct attack on our ability to prosper and maintain our status as a global superpower.